Hi, welcome to the Sapphire channel. Today I'm going to not do a first impression, but I would say a re-impression of MAC. Only because I purchased MAC back in early 2000s, sparingly used it because at the time my makeup knowledge was very limited. I bought one of those palettes, maybe put in 4 eyeshadows and forgot all about it. So I was excited when I saw that MAC is coming out with their various palettes. So I decided to go back and, give MAC another chance. And I'm glad I did. So the first MAC palette that I want to talk about is called Nordstrom's Finest Palette, or some people would call it the Mellow Moderns. And the second palette that I want to talk about is this smaller one of theirs. It's called the Flamingo palette. So just going over the colors of the first one, and I wanted to point out the ones that are matte because that seems to be a very popular finish. So on the top row there's Beaded, Goldmine. So going back to Beaded, it's I would say it's beige with a little bit of shimmer. Goldmine, it's a richer gold. I wouldn't say it's a white gold, and it has a shimmer too. Chains of Love, brown with shimmer. There's Cork, which looks to me more of a matte brown, a warm matte brown. And then Persuade, it's a darker or cool matte brown. And then the second row, Retrospeck. It's sort of I would call it a warm white, because I wouldn't say it's a totally white gold. It's more like a shimmer, warm, ivory white. And then there's Greensmoke. In person, it looks more like a silver with some dark tones in it. And then Felt, I would say also a dark brown. It's different from this brown for sure. This brown is more like, I guess, a brown taupe, where this brown looks like there's a little bit of maybe even green, just looking at it in person. And then the two dark ones, Print, which is sort of a matte gray, and the iconic Black Carbon, which is a matte. And then the bottom row, Orb. Yeah, more like a matte beige. Luscious, I would say a light copper shimmer. Let's see. Soft brown, which I would call a matte. It kind of has like an orange to it. And then the last two is Trax. It's a light purple with some gold flecks in it. And lastly, Plummed. It's a dark purple with shimmer. So I would definitely say this is one of those palettes that you can throw in your bag and complete a look. Because you could use Orb and Beaded for your brow. You can use a lot of the browns, for example, like Cork or Persuade, or even Felt in the crease on the lid. Sometimes I can totally imagine if, let's say, if you wanted to go more for a fall look and you wanted to have a shimmer, I would definitely use this copper Luscious. Or if you want less shimmer, you would use the color next to it, soft brown. And then on the ends, let's say you want a purple look, you can do the ends in Trax and in Plummed, and to smoke it out more, you can decide on Print and Carbon. So, or if you don't want purple at the ends, you can just go with a darker brown to smoke out your eyes. So as you can see, there's a lot of different looks that you can achieve with this palette. And another look, perhaps, if you don't want the copper Luscious on your lid, you can put the Goldmine either on your lid or in your inner corner. So the next palette, Flamingo palette, I would definitely say it's not a standalone palette. You definitely need another palette, be a neutral palette, or even this one, which is what I've been doing. I've been using this and this together, just so you can have the colors for the brow and the transition. I would use this more for the colors for your lid and for the ends. So let's take a look at the top row. The top row, this one is a light pale pink flounce. It's matte. Next one is Glamour Light, which is sort of a very pale yellow. And the third one is Floridazzle, which is a light green. So the second row, Flock and Roll, is considered a matte. Then there's Sushi Flower, which is, I would say, sort of a coral. And then finally on this row, Bird's Eye View. It's definitely in between a coral and a red. And this is actually one of my favorite colors in the palette. The third row, Free Roaming, like a purple shimmer. The second one, Naturally Fabulous, which is a dark matte brown. And lastly, Weirdly Wonderful. This is the second favorite color of mine, because it's a navy blue with sparkle in it. So I would say, like for example with this color Flounce, sometimes I can use this at the end of a look to clean it out right around between the brow and the transition area. What's it, Glamour Light? Sometimes I've been using this too on the lid instead of white powder or eyeshadow. And then if you want a warmer look, sometimes in the crease, I'll start off actually with Sushi Flower Bird's Eye View, and then on the lid I might put one of these other colors like Naturally Fabulous or Free Roaming. And then one of the looks that I found interesting is for me to have this Weirdly Wonderful color at the very end. So there's a lot to play with in terms of if you're interested in a palette that has bright colors. It's fun. So if you stick around, I'm going to do a look with the two palettes together. So as I was saying, I like to use the Mellow Moderns for my transition and my brow colors. So for Orb, which is this color right here, I put right in the front of my brow. And then across the brow, I use Beaded. And then for a more fun look, I like to use either Sushi Flower or Bird's Eye View in the crease. So I'm going to just go ahead and go for Bird's Eye View, just to have a more dramatic look in this tutorial. And then actually let me just go for the lid first. Let me go ahead in the lid, I guess I'm trying to decide if I want to do trax or plummed. But I'll just go ahead and stick to plummed, I think. Well, actually, let me take that back. You know what? Let me do green smoke for the lid, and then Weirdly Wonderful in the outer corner. So green smoke. There you go. greensmoke. I'm just adding a little plum to the end. And then lastly, a little bit of the Weirdly Wonderful, just to darken it out. You know, the fun thing I've noticed playing with more bright colors is who's to say a smoky eye has to just be gray and silver or black. You can do a smoky eye with just about any color as long as you end it with a dark color at the very end. So if you want to do a blue smoky eyed or purple themed smoky eyed, just have fun with it. And with makeup, that's the nice thing with makeup. You can just, I mean, why limit yourself to rules? Just if you don't like it, just clean it and try again. And then let me go ahead and kind of smooth out the whole look and then add a little bit of, I think, the persuade right here at the very end. Okay, there you go. So don't worry, before I go out, I'll do the other eye too. But just so you can see one look that you can achieve with both MAC palettes. So my